Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Alpha Staff webinar series. Today's webinar is Background Checks 101 with our presenter, Alex Bain, Client Success Partner at Sterling. Before we begin, I'd like to address a brief technical overview. As you may have noticed, all attendee phone lines are muted and will remain so throughout the presentation. If you have questions, please send them via the chat or the Q&A feature. You can send them throughout the presentation, or you can wait to send them at the end when we open it up to address the questions. Attendance in today's live webinar is approved for 1 credit with both HRCI and SHRM. At the end of the presentation, I'll share the contact information needed to request your credit. Now, I'd like to introduce today's presenter, Alex Bain. Alex, who has been with Sterling for 4 years, is our certified client success partner. Alex is a lean Six Sigma green belt with 17 years of experience in client relationship management. Alex, thank you so much for joining us today. And now I'll turn the presentation over to you.
Thank you so much, Kim, today. Hello, everyone, and good afternoon or good morning, wherever everyone is situated. My name is Alex Bain, and as Kim rightly said, I will be presenting today, what Sterling offers, what Sterling does, and what do we do in terms of background checks. So this is the first slide where we will talk about the agenda and a consolidated enterprise-wide background screening program. So your agenda includes, all the listings. I will introduce Sterling services, the partnership, which would include our mission, values, and what kind of an executive summary program with Alpha Staff we are tied up with. Sterling's key differentiator, adding what kind of a structure do we have, something related to compliance and any new technological advancements. Moving forward would be the Sterling offerings and adverse action. And I will leave the rest, the last 10 minutes for question and answers. If anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to answer. So moving on to the next slide, I'll be talking about Sterling partnership, our mission. Our goal is to ensure that we have a trusted partnership with our clients. So we work closely with Alpha Staff, and we have all our clients through Alpha Staff coming with an immense integration strategies and ensuring that we give them the right services, we guide them with the right services. That's where we tie up our mission with it, giving you the essential resources and ensuring that you have the right place to work, just to ensure that we give you the right information with regards to compliance, any new state laws, any guidelines coming into picture. Below, just mention about our 4 values, what we intensely follow, where it is people first. We ensure that it's not only our external clients, but our internal people are equally, given that importance if there is any question or any query coming up. Delivery, of course, anything when there is a query or an escalation or a complaint coming through anyone, ensuring that we are delivering it, we are giving the resolution, we are ensuring that the TAT is met for any background check results. So that is one aspect that we look into religiously. Of course, client is always first, as it says that. So anything that happens, it all drills down to our client. It drills down to the revenue. It drills down to the solution that we are providing. And do we have ample of options that we get back to our clients or no? And yes, we are a trustworthy organization. So we are transparent in terms of any information that is required, needed by our clients, by our partners, by our internal stakeholders too, except ensuring the guidelines of not sharing the PII information to anyone. Moving ahead, if I talk about Sterling, now we are pioneers in background check services. So we've been doing background screening for almost 45 years now. So we started, at the time when there was a lie detector, we had just few clients at that moment. But 45 years into this service, we have always ensured that we grew to the extent of more technological advancement and more innovations. And that's where you see currently we have more than 30,000 clients all over the globe. And Sterling, as an organization, we started initially, our headquarters were in New York, but slowly and gradually, we have scattered into 21 offices in 12 different countries. Moving ahead, if I talk about what we've been doing in 2020, well, it was hard, it was difficult for everyone because pandemic had a huge impact to all the fulfillment, to the operations side, but we didn't stop in terms of what kind of advancements that we need to do. We tried to invest heavily in technological advancements, and that's where you will see we are currently AI driven company. So our most of our fulfillment, in fact, everything, 90% of our background checks are completed through, it is completed through electronically. There is no human intervention. Human intervention comes into place only where we know that the situations are offhand, where we need intense or comprehensive screening. That is where humans will come into picture, or specifically when there's a client facing person who directly deals with the clients. Of course, portfolio innovations, where we launched our COVID-19 testing program in 2020 itself and realigned our client hub and candidate hub interface. And in my future slides, you will see how it was impacted, how user-friendly the client hub and candidate hub screens were. Moving to the next slide, if I talk about key strategic themes that we are looking for in 2021. I know half of the year is almost already past, but we have already taken care of the diversity and inclusion. We hired Jennifer Ketchens, one of our chief diversity and social responsibility officer. So we are a company, we give equal employment opportunity. There is diversity all over the employees all over the globe, and ensuring that it is a safe place and everyone has the right path of aspiration. If I talk about unifying experience, we talk about specific products. I am at the current market trend. If we talk more about fingerprinting services, or if we talk about onboarding services or identity services, this is something that is booming in the market at background screening services right now. And Sterling has already invested. We've already closed our contracts with the right vendors, and we are moving with these services and offering it to our clients going ahead. So yes, we are already providing the candidate and client hub. We are going ahead with the best integrations. We are integrated with most of the network providers, and ensuring that the onboarding and I-9 services are being given through Sterling too as well. Great. Moving to the next slide, I would talk about partnership with AlphaStaff. This is just a general slide to show how smooth partnership we had with AlphaStaff for last almost nine years now. It is, I mentioned 8, but almost completing 9. And every year on year, we see more clients joining in, understanding what Sterling does, and they are equally, important for us as a client. That doesn't mean if it is AlphaStaff and their client, you have a direct point of contact. So even if it is AlphaStaff or if it is you as a client who join AlphaStaff, you will always have a direct point of contact to get in touch through Sterling. But of course, it is always recommended that you first get in touch with your HR executive or the HR coordinators from the AlphaStaff team. But if it is needed, you can reach out to me and my team as well. Just a slide to show how the turnaround time looks and how we have improved from year on year when we started with AlphaStaff. And at the moment, if we talk about criminal checks, we are closing the criminal checks within a day. The actual turnaround time for criminal checks has been closed within a day itself. I will talk more about it when I discuss about the criminal background checks. Great. Moving ahead, if we talk about Sterling differentiator, to the next slide, as I said, yes, candidate hub is equally important. So not only you as a client, but we feel that your candidate experience matters a lot. And that's where when a candidate is filling out the information, when they reach out to different, I would say, HR managers or HR recruiters or coordinators or you as a client, they need to have the right and the best experience when they fill out the form. That's where we got mobile experience into picture. So earlier it was a link that used to go to the candidate where they were not able to fill out all the information directly from the mobile. All right, they had to look for a desktop. But from the time we invested into mobile experience, candidate can do everything while on the go. So even if the candidate is like on a lunch break or is traveling, he has the documents saved on his phone. He can immediately fill out all the information and move ahead with the background check. This is something where it saves time. It saves the turnaround time for the background checks. And the candidate will not have the experience of running around to search for a desktop and complete the background checks. This is something that we invested a lot in the last few years. Moving to the next slide. Of course, Client Hub. So you as a client, how important and how user-friendly system should you have to complete or to check the results or to see uh, how the candidates have completed? What is the status? Is it pending? Is it completed? What is on hold and why is it on hold? It is super user-friendly. The demo can be given, in future, whenever you need. Let your HR coordinators know, or let me know. I can, get a separate demo environment and show how the entire interface looks like. Moving to the next slide, it talks about the analytics dashboard. As I said, we are AI-driven company, and one aspect was where we directly, we hired Looker, who's one of the AI-driven company, to tie up with us, get into the system, and give us the best graphical, options where the client could see it. And this is the diagram that you see, the pie charts and the graphical charts that you see, these are the actual reports that you can directly fetch from Looker. So you will come to know what is your monthly turnaround time, your annual, what is the revenue, how much you have spent. I was most surprised where they had a heat map of US region, where from which region you are hired the most. And of course, with the age bracket too, what is your maximum hiring range? Is it from the bracket of 18 to 25, 25 to 35, or so on, with the analytics dashboard. Great. Moving to the next slide. What happens is, yes, you have your own client success partner. You have alpha staff who looks after all your needs, and they get in touch with me or my team. So it is not only me who is the client success partner for alpha staff, but I have a huge backend team who works on the account as well. So we talk about the fulfillment team, we talk about technological team, we talk about customer service team, product and technology team. So it is my job role to liaise with my internal team and get the job done for all the clients that comes through Alpha Staff. That's where we see a very trusted partnership with Alpha Staff. Moving to the next slide, very important, where I would talk about compliance. Yes, it is said compliance is a part of our DNA. We are into the market for more than 45 years now. So ensuring that none of our clients are uneducated or not up to date with the latest updates that come into picture. And that's where we are already accredited with PBSA. My role is, again, to guide all my clients, what is trending in the market, what are the new changes coming into picture, how would it directly or indirectly impact you as a client or your business if there is a new change in law or there is a new guideline coming into picture. Again, considering even FCRA too, because we need to follow the FCRA guidelines for running the background checks. And moving to the next slide, that's where, one part of how we put across all the content is through our website. So if you visit our website and you check our link, you go into the resource section and compliance documents, you will see all the latest updates latest changes, notices that are being changed, and of course, all the documents, a sample copy of an electronic disclosure and authorization form, a sample copy of adverse action, sample copy of FCRA, you name it, and you have all the documents on our website itself. Great. Moving ahead, a very important aspect of what I'll be talking about is Sterling product offerings. What do we offer? So Alpha Staff, we have already tied up with Alpha Staff to give all these services, but it is just to reiterate what do we do and what kind of additional services that are there into the market and that you can leverage as a client. Criminal background checks, I would just give you a basic drill down in terms of what do we do. So we are tied up with all the courts. We are directly integrated with all the courthouses. That's where I say when we get the criminal background checks results within 24 hours, that's because my AI-driven technology will automatically fetch the last 7 years of address history of the candidate. My system will directly go to the courthouse website, pull up the information, throw it into the system, and you get the results with you directly. And that's where we always recommend that not to have a basic background check, but to have a slightly comprehensive background check, because not all your record or all your reports are being considered in one specific product. Your social security trace is a separate product altogether. Enhanced Nationwide will only take care of your, all the 49 states if there is any specific record against a candidate. Locator Select is something related to arrest details. So if you as a client, if you are regulated and you want to know what are the arrest records, though the candidate is not convicted, but you still want to know if there are arrest records, Locator Select plays a very important role there. County criminal, very simple. Last 7 years of address history. If the candidate is convicted, you will find the county criminal search for last 7 years of address history. Federal is again different. Here you will see all white collar crimes, drug trafficking, human trafficking, anything that doesn't come under the curtain of county, it goes into the federal section. And that's where we always recommend federal is always a separate search than what county criminal is. Yep, equally important, DOJ or National Sex Offender Search, which is not a part of criminal county, not a part of federal, because DOJ has their own source of system where we get in touch with the federal government, but they have a separate department who looks after all these sex offenders. One aspect that I want to highlight with DOJ sex offender is if a candidate is a sex offender, that part of a record doesn't go away from the candidate. So like there is no limit of a 7 years or a 10 years address history. If a person is a sexual offender, that will always show into your system, even if it is 30 years or 40 years down the line, the record will always pop up into your record, into your results section. And OFAC is very simple. It's your any sanctions through any governments. It's a global search, which also consists of terrorist watch list. I would say, again, this is also important if you are looking for a comprehensive background screening criminal searches. Great. Moving to the next slide, I just want to show or explain you how it works. As I said, that since we are AI-driven technology, all our searches are done automatically. There is no human intervention. SSN Trace will pull up the records, go into the system of county codes, pull up the information. If there is no record, immediately the result will be posted for you. However, if there is a record, all right, that means my system will directly block that search over there. That's where my team will play a very important role, and a new technology, which is a smart AI smart technology, where what it will do is it will match the candidate's name, date of birth, and SSN. These are the 3 unique identifiers that they will match with the record. And after which they will go with the state guidelines, any new laws or FCRA guidelines, only then a record will be posted. So this is where sometimes a human intervention will come into picture, where my quality auditors would actually go and search that do we have the right information from the courthouses or not. Great. So moving to the next slide, verifications. If I talk about employment, education, reference checks, credentials are very important checks in terms of if you want to do a complete verification check. However, most important right now, what is at the moment going on is the DOT of transportation, DOT checks. But again, if you are a DOT regulated company, it is important to run DOT related searches because you come into a different regulator body when you are a DOT regulated company. They have a different drug screening searches, different verification searches. There is different we have provided us a different setup for our DOT regulated companies. Great. So moving ahead, um, drug screening. Yep, equally important because you don't want a candidate who's high on substance. So we ensure that we give you the right product. Again, it depends what you as a client are looking. Is it a 5 panel, 4 panel? Uh, with the current trend, we have already launched excluding marijuana panels as well because most of our clients are looking to ensure that they follow the right state guidelines and don't want marijuana to be tested in their drug report. So people are and clients are going for excluding marijuana test. So we have 4 panel, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 panel, up to 10 panel. And of course, we have customizable panels as well. And all the analytes are ensured that they are being measured. We have the right temperature that they receive when the candidate goes to give the specimen. At the clinic, there is a temperature measure for each specimen that has been given, after only which the specimen will be transported to the lab to complete the test. Now, once the lab completes the test, very simple, if the lab feels everything is negative, there is nothing to report, they will immediately pass on the result to your dashboard where you could easily see it. If there is a positive result, say for example there was cocaine positive, they would not just directly go ahead and post the result. My MRO will play a very crucial role here. So the medical review officer will actually first see that was the test completed in the right testing environment. Did we have the right temperature of the specimen? After which only they will try and contact the candidate that if they have some kind of prescription that was given to them by their doctor to consume this substance. Once the candidate gives the prescription and the MRO is convinced, they will post the result as negative. If there is no information, they will post the result as positive. Moving ahead, if I talk about these are the drug screening partners whom we have tied up with. So Quest, LabCorp, and eScreen, they are our major partners whom we rely on. And of course, Concentra and Current and DriveCheck. We are tied up with all the partners, but the major partners are Quest, LabCorp, and eScreen. Great. Moving to the next slide. Generally, with the current trend, what is going on is social media screening. So we want to understand that do we have the right candidate? Do we have the right attitude that we receive from the candidate? That's where we are ensuring that social media screening is what is current in trend, ensuring that we check all their social media accounts. Of course, we do take a consent. There is a separate consent for social media screening. It is not like how we take it for the normal criminal and background checks. And we check Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the news channels perspective, anywhere where there are a group of people who can convey some information or the other, we will go ahead and report it. Very important, in social media screening, there is no status as clear or an alert. We don't quantify there that this candidate is clear, there is no negative impressions, or what, this candidate has some impressions, we will only put comments. There are only comments mentioned in social media screening. This is what it is. Then you as a client will take the lead in terms of your hiring decision, or you will take a decision that with these comments, are you okay to hire the candidate or no. These are just numbers that I have shown here, where 7 out of 10 employees, they use social media network, and 66% of the employers say they also use search engines to conduct research on potential job candidates. That's where LinkedIn also plays a crucial role, and we screen LinkedIn profiles as well too. Great. Moving to the next slide, just certain numbers. As I said, it is fully customizable. We take a separate consent. We find the right person, thorough search, quick results, and it reduces compliance, because if applicable, a candidate has the right to challenge inaccuracies through a dispute resolution center. Now, if I talk about dispute resolution center, so we have a separate team altogether called a dispute resolution team. So say, for example, today, a candidate's report has come positive, or if there is a record against a candidate, and we posted the results and the result has gone back to you. And of course, a copy goes back to the candidate too, if needed. The candidate can always question the report. They have the right to question the report. And if there is anything that you feel that your candidate has come back to us with a question on that report, you can always route them to our dispute resolution team. Now, that's a separate team who does another investigation, that did we get the right information from the right courthouses or the right sources, and is that a potential decliner, do we need to make any changes? That is all left with the dispute resolution team. Even we as an internal employee, we do not have any hand in terms of directly speaking to them, because it is their own set of team who will directly deal with the candidate and manage. If there is anything needed, they will go ahead and change the result, or they might keep it as this. Great. Moving ahead, I9 solutions. I would not talk much about it because, just to give you a fair idea, yes, we do run I9 and E-Verify too. So if needed, do keep us posted in terms of how this would be going ahead. And Alpha staff team can always reach out to me on that piece. Something important that I would talk about is identity services, which is booming in the market right now, because because of the new products that are being launched. I would not say not only with Sterling, but even through our competitors, and even the guidelines are changing, where the FCRA guidelines and the state laws are asking for identity services for certain industry types. And that's why we give you ID documentation verification, facial recognition and biometric matching, SSN verification, live video chat ID proofing. So these are the certain products that we offer. Again, few products are already in roadmap. As you see, August 2021, we have already launched few of the products out of it. There are few more yet to be launched through the verifying identity. Great. Moving ahead, a final slide in terms of what do we offer. This is something called as Bishop Services. This is a comprehensive criminal screening or comprehensive verifications or any other screening. It is not like a general screening that we do for our candidates. Mostly it is used for super high level candidates like a CEO or a board of director or a VP of a company, where you know that they will be representing your company. The revenue is completely attached to the organization. Our Bishop's team work closely with all the source houses in United States, and they get comprehensive listing of all the background of the candidate. So again, the results would be very different that you see for a general candidate. Here, the results will be more of a subjective matter. You would see a little, slightly lengthy paragraphs of what the entire bio of the candidate is. Now, Bishop Services is not only for candidate, but it is also for doing a due diligence on a company that you are acquiring, or if you're getting acquired, or you're opening a new franchisee, you want to do a due diligence on a new company. That's where my Bishop's team will play a very crucial role. That was all about the services that we offer. I would wanted to talk more about electronic adverse action too, where this was something the Alpha Staff team requested me to show what practices do we follow in terms of adverse action. It is important to follow adverse action process, because if you are rejecting a candidate for any perspective, you need to have the right reason, because as per the FCRA guidelines, every employer has to follow the adverse action process. You just cannot reject a candidate by just saying no, or by only giving a letter. There is a set process of adverse action. Adverse action is nothing but, I would say, a method of the candidate disputing the charge against them. So, as I said about the dispute resolution team, if an adverse action is initiated for a candidate, first thing and foremost thing is the candidate has the right to go ahead and question it to a dispute resolution team. And yep, and as you said, we do adapt to the compliance updates. As I said, it is equally important as per the guidelines to follow the right process. We have built-in compliance workflows. So if I talk about workflows, so when an adverse action is initiated through the order itself, so a pre-adverse action letter goes to the candidate with the reason for the possible, non-qualification of the employment. The reason would be criminal county search, and there is an alert against the candidate, with the FCRA document, with the copy of the background check report. And if the candidate is from a specific state, a state law notice would also go with the pre-adverse action letter. That's why we say we have all built-in compliance workflows. You don't have to do anything manually. Just click on the button, initiate adverse action. A pre-adverse action letter goes to the candidate. If the candidate replies back, it would go to a dispute team, and they would take 30 days to come back. But if the candidate doesn't dispute, they don't reply, automatically within 5 days, a final adverse action is been triggered to the candidate's email. And that's how the entire process of adverse action is being followed. You as a client or an employer have followed the right process to not hire that candidate or to reject that candidate for that particular job position. And moving to the next slide, as I said, adverse action not only includes a rejection, but it also gives a fair chance option to the candidate, and also individualized assessment, which is already inbuilt into your adverse action process itself. So when a pre-adverse action letter goes, the candidate also receives fair chance letter and individualized assessment, specifically when it comes to New York City and LA, California county specifically, they get these letters for IA and fair chance. And moving to the next slide, this is the process that I've already explained to you, where the employer initiates the adverse action process. You select the potential reason for disqualification. You select the location of employment, because that is important. Based on the location of employment, or the right guidelines or the state law notices would go to the candidate. Employer completes the fair chance form. Pre-adverse action and fair chance are being sent to the candidate, and employer makes the final adverse action decision. Now, this is one aspect where you give the option to Sterling. It is a very minimal fee for using electronic adverse action and the individualized assessment and fair chance. the Alpha Staff team can let you know how we can get, in terms of the pricing and in terms of the setup, they will get in touch with me and we can get that setup done. Now, with the setup, there are two options. Either you have the option of doing it by yourself. If you do it by yourself, there is no charge, of course. But if you give Sterling to give that, if Sterling, you want to use our services, you want Sterling to act on your behalf, that's where the charges will play into picture. So when you initiate adverse action, you will see two boxes. Either you want to do it by yourself or you want Sterling to do it. It is all user friendly. As I said, understandable interface. It will easily tell you what are the next steps to follow. Something more, in terms of what kind of notices and copy that we send to the client. Since it's a recording session, this will be present. This is just to show that what kind of a reassessment that we do if a candidate or they dispute to this aspect. And moving to the next slide. So what happens next? So say if you've already initiated an adverse action, candidate has disputed, or you decided as an employer not, or you want to stop it. So you have the option to cancel the adverse action. You also have the option to pause the adverse action process, because if you know that the candidate is coming up with some documents or some reason, and you are comfortable with the reason, you can pause it for some time and you can resume the adverse action process. Because if you don't pause it, or if you don't pause, the adverse action process will automatically generate all the information at the back end, and it will keep on triggering emails to the candidate. Like a for pre-adverse action will automatically go. If the candidate doesn't reply within 5 days, automatically a final adverse action will go. So this is something, these are the steps that you can stop, because if the candidate comes to you and you are okay to cancel the adverse action or pause it for some time, you have the option to do it into our system directly. So I guess that was all. The next slide just gives my information. If there is anything, you can always get in touch with me. That's my email and number. But of course, I will always suggest do get in touch with the Alpha Staff team first, because I would say 50 to 90% of the times your queries are being answered through them itself, because we work with Alpha. We are working with Alpha Staff for more than 8 years, so they are equally educated. They are equally up to date with what kind of checks, how to read a report, and what needs to be done on the system. But nevertheless, I will be more than happy if there is anything needed from my end too. So thank you all, Kim. That was all, and I will give it back to you.
All right, thanks, Alex. At this time, we're going to open the floor to questions. As a reminder, we are muted, or you all are muted, so please use the question or the chat feature. Throughout the presentation, Alex, we do have a couple of questions. The first one is, in Florida, there are level 1 and level 2 background screens, one of which requires fingerprinting. What's the difference in what Sterling uses for background screens? And when did you say fingerprint background screens will be available?
That's a great question. That's yes, because Florida is one state where there are two levels of fingerprinting, and it all depends, how you are registered with the state and what kind of a regulatory body you are. I can get more information from my fingerprint team, because I lately worked with one of my client. They have certain questions in terms of OCA number, and are they regulated with certain body. You cannot just run fingerprinting services. If you are a client, there are certain information that are you directly governed by federal government? Are you regulated to run fingerprinting or no? I can get more information on that and share the difference between both the fingerprinting services in Florida.
Great, thanks, Alex. We have another one. Can we get credit checks for non-employees for our own purposes?
That is something we don't do. It will always be an employee or your candidates whom you are hiring, because you will be using our system, and it always gives an option when you initiate a background check for what is the purpose. Is it for pre-employment or is it for rescreening? And there are 2 to 3 more options, but we don't recommend not to run credit reports for non-employees.
Right, thank you. We have another one. How long does it take to set up a new client with Sterling for background screenings and also for credit checks?
Great question. If I keep credit check aside, and if I talk about the complete process, it doesn't take more than a week if we have all the documents ready. In fact, if we have all the documents ready, I can get that set up within 2 or 3 days itself. If it is a drug product, drug takes anywhere between 10 to 12 working days, because your account will be mapped with a drug vendor. So that mapping takes time with eScreen and Alere, or with LabCorp and Quest Diagnostics. Credit checks takes a minimum of 2 weeks time. That's because we go back to TransUnion. There is a proper credit officer who will visit your office, who will actually do the audit. That where is the place that you will be storing all your credit reports? Who will have access to that drawer, or the digital place where you will be saving all the credit reports? Where exactly is the office situated? A credit officer will do a site inspection. That's where it takes time. But there is a limitation right now, because if due to COVID, you as an employer are not allowing employees in your office, do you have other option to house those credit reports at some other location? So yeah, a maximum time frame of 2 weeks with credit reports too.
Thank you. It looks like we have one more. Our company has employees nationwide, and we're in some states where marijuana testing is legal and others where it is not. Could Sterling help us manage it so that we're not having to choose between which drug screens are offered to employees?
That's a great question, and something that I have never come across with any of my clients. The reason being, we always give that responsibility of running background checks to our clients. So today, say for example, if you have a state, say New York, and it doesn't want the candidates to be done through marijuana, but you as a client have decided you want to do it, we cannot stop it, right? Because you have decided as a client to do it, and we will still push and run the background check, of course taking a consent from you. So this is something like a manual work that I can check with my compliance team if it is doable. For now, this feature is not into place where we decide where to run drug screenings for excluding marijuana. No. But yeah, I can surely share the list which states have permitted to run and not run marijuana.
Excellent, thank you. And it looks like that's it for our questions so far. So I'm gonna just do, oh, we have one more. Can we get a background check for a non-employee for our own purpose? So before we'd asked about a credit check, but what about a background check for a non-employee?
Again, my answer is no. We do not do background checks for non-employee too. You might want to look at a different vendor who does background checks for a non-employee, or for house tenants. There are other companies in the market to do it, because we are regulated to do background checks only for the employees of the organization.
Excellent, thank you. I'm going to read through the last couple slides in our presentation. So if anyone else has questions, please feel free to keep them coming. For copies of the presentation, and as well as your HRCI or SHRM credit codes, please send an email to hrsc@alphastaff.com. We'll look it up and then we'll respond to that email with the correct codes. Two final notes. So join us next Thursday for our California Anti-Harassment and Discrimination Training with Alpha Staff's HR account manager, Amy Brown. And two, please take a couple of minutes to provide your feedback about today's webinar in a brief survey that will appear as a link once the webinar ends. We do read all the feedback and take your suggestions into consideration as we build out the webinar topics for next year's series. Thank you, Alex, for your time today. Thank you, attendees. Everyone have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Goodbye.